The Hotel Transylvania is the setting for the film's opening sequence, where all the monsters stay. Mavis Dracula, the daughter of Dracula, got married today, so it's a reason to celebrate. That too involving a person by the name of John. All of the monsters in the world have been summoned to this wedding, but only John's family is made up of people. Mavis is extremely attractive on this special day. This makes Dracula very happy as well because the wedding was executed beautifully. Then, both humans and monsters present dance as a group. Mavis discovers her grandfather has no interest in people when she asks her father, "Why didn't my grandfather come to the wedding?" While dancing. This wedding has been kept a secret from him because of how much he despises them. The scene is then cut off, and Mavis returns to Dracula world a year after getting married. She is immediately welcomed by Dracula, who transforms her into a bat and plays with her. He was flying through the air and playing hide and seek in the clouds, and he was clearly enjoying himself greatly. At this point, Mavis informs Dracula that a new visitor, Mavis's child, will be arriving in his Dracula world. He immediately began to dance in the air after hearing this, as if all of his happiness had been realized. As time went on, everything was going smoothly, but Dracula was worried about whether Mavis's unborn child would be a vampire or a human. To ensure that his generation, the one that follows him, moves forward, he wanted Mavis's unborn child to be Dracula. And today, at long last, Dennis, the baby he named, is born. When Dennis turns 1 year old, we see Hotel Transylvania once more on his birthday. By this time, the hotel has undergone significant changes. Whereas Dracula was aware that humans are not evil, humans now coexist with monsters. Additionally, this hotel had undergone significant change as a result of the appearance of humans. All the monsters were giving gifts to Dennis on his birthday. The baby's grandfather and his grandfather, Dracula, start arguing during this entire ordeal. While Dennis's grandfather, who is a human himself, predicts that Dennis will be a human, Dracula predicts that Dennis will be a vampire. When he claims that he lacks even Dracula's teeth, the bear sitting next to him responds by informing him that Dracula's teeth only appear after 5 years. Because of this, he had to wait 5 years to decide whether the infant was human or a vampire. Along with the passage of time, Dracula was diligently trying to develop into a Dracula. Do such things, and you will one day become Dracula. He was developing into a human being, so it seemed like all his efforts had been in vain. Nothing in him resembled Count Dracula. Like his mother and grandfather, he was unable to even change in bed. On the other hand, everything in the house had been destroyed by Dennis's mother because she was so concerned about him and this could have hurt her. She also realizes that her son can't feel safe at the monster party for Dennis when she notices how naughty the monsters' kids are, how they play, and how often they cause his son to trip and fall. He belongs in the human world, not this monster one, he has nothing to do with it. She wanted to take him to John's house, which is where her dad lived, but John wasn't interested. He had a lot to teach all the monsters at this hotel because he loved it so much. He also liked playing with the monsters at the same time. The monsters in this place accepted humans just as humans accepted the monsters. Now, the monsters in this place use social media in addition to using the internet. To tell you the truth, both Dracula and John were extremely concerned about where this was going to lead. Because he was aware that Dennis would soon turn 5 and that if he left at this point, his Dracula teeth would not erupt and he would continue to be a human. Because of this, his friend advises that we send Mavis to John's house in California first. He advises that you go there to determine whether or not the location is safe for your son. If it is, he says, we will show Dennis all of the spooky things and remove Dracula's teeth from him. As a result of Dracula's successful plan, Mavis departs from this location and travels to California with John. Upon spotting all of Dracula's companions, they load Dennis into a van and drive him to the park where Dracula taught people how to frighten people. But when he arrived, the situation had changed, and now monsters and humans were interacting amicably. When Dracula realizes his plan has failed, he switches to plan B and orders his monster friend to hunt an animal in front of Dennis and eat it raw in an unpleasant way. When he saw this, he was afraid that his fear would manifest itself, but his friend ruined the moment by starting to play with the frisbee instead of eating the animal. After the scene is cut, we see Mavis and John in California, where Mavis was enjoying playing with people and was very content. She also starts engaging in child play, and at this point she believes that her son would do well in California. Dracula is more than just words, he made the decision to remove his son from his surroundings and relocate to this area of California. Dracula is startled as she quickly makes a video call to her son, letting him know that they are out of the house and that if Mavis had known, he would have returned and Dracula's plan would not have succeeded. The invisible friend is then informed by Mavis that Dracula's son is playing at home and is having a great time, thanks to Dracula's sharp intellect. They arrive at a new location where Dracula's training took place as soon as Mavis realizes this and ends the call. They recall learning to jump from this area's tallest tower and how to turn into a bat, but the tower was now closed. Once the partying began at night, Dracula became enraged at his friends for not showing up to sing songs, and he was now mad at all of them. They take Dennis to the tallest tower in the area and throw him off of it in an attempt to teach him how to become a bat, but the plan backfires. By doing this, Dennis puts his life in danger because he is unable to transform into a bat in this manner and is on the verge of collapsing to the ground when Dracula transforms into a bat and saves him. There was chaos as everyone ran in all directions to escape the tower as it collapsed under the weight of all of Dracula's friends who were on the same tower at the same time. As a result of the fire that was started there, his friends were injured, and since it is well known that monsters are extremely afraid of fire, they fled in terror. They burned the entire society by doing this by going into buildings or other structures on occasion. Mavis was aware of the situation and knew that her son was in danger. She hurriedly drove her husband to the airport where she learned that there would be no flights until the next morning due to the weather. Angered, she made the Dracula face and returned from the airport. John, her husband, transforms her into a bat and drives her to Dracula's mansion. Before arriving at Mavis's house, Dracula also needed to go home, but his car had been destroyed and the scooter he was riding was inefficient. As a result, he instructs his fat companion to fill the slime monster with air so that they can use it as a rocket to get home quickly, and by doing so, he actually does. Mavis, who was furious with her father for putting her son in danger, greets him at home before he arrives. She now chooses to relocate to California with her son, but she first wanted to celebrate his 5th birthday there, so they spent a few days in Dracula's home, where John's family had also arrived. And on Dennis' birthday, Mavis tells her father that she had also called her grandfather. When he heard this, he opened the track, which caused the parrots to fly away, indicating that they were extremely frightened. She then freezes everything and tells John, "They will kill you, me too, because you are a human and I married you to Mavis." He has a strong dislike for people, and as we were looking at Mavis's grandfather, a strict, menacing man, it appeared from the way he carried himself that he might actually be hostile to people. He formerly shared a cave with large, menacing bats, and when he learns that Mavis has called him, he gets ready to attend the party. To hide the fact that he had a relationship with humans, John had given all humans the appearance of a monster. As a result, everyone believes that those people are hosting a monster party, and even Mavis's grandfather is convinced that they are. At least there is another vampire in the family. Is that a hotel? Dennis doesn't yet have teeth, but Dracula tells his father not to worry because he is here and will soon have teeth. He warns him that if he loses his favorite object, his anger will cause his Dracula teeth to erupt. For this reason, he also makes the party extremely frightening, but by terrifying his grandfather repeatedly, Dennis's teeth do not come out, but he gets very scared and gets scared, or with all of these things, his grandfather learned that not only Dennis, but also his dad is a human, so he gets very angry with all of this, and this is where the fight starts as soon as the guests arrive at the hotel. Dennis, who believes that I am to blame for the fight, flees with a friend to a house in the jungle out of fear. "I'll be going to California with my parents," he was saying to his friend, "and now we'll never meet." While this is happening, his grandfather's enormous bat visits his home, attacks the girl, and then abandons her. Before he said anything to that bat, Dennis was turning red and yellow with rage. His anger had taken on a new hue as Dracula's teeth protruded from his mouth. Along with having to change into a bat, he also had to save his friend before engaging in combat with the bat. As word spread throughout the hotel that Dennis had fled, the bat also called his other companions in a fit of rage. When those people arrived in the jungle and saw Dennis dressed as Dracula, they all liked it very much and helped him fight with the bat. They had all become concerned, stopped fighting, and started searching for him. Dennis's grandfather saves him in this situation because the first bat was now very enraged and was about to kill Dennis's human father, John. Therefore, the big Dracula had now accepted humans as well. In the end, they were all having a good time in their hotel, and perhaps they would have to reunite there in the future to demonstrate to whom this story ends.